following is a presentation of the Pro Wrestling Report. Television, radio, internet, the world. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the post show for the Pro Wrestling Report. Sorry about that delay there. We were having some technical difficulties. Now we are back. We are on. We are in. And we are going to be going some extra time here tonight. Stick with us for the next 60 minutes as we talk about last night's WWE Extreme Rules and tonight's WWE Raw. Damian Nelson here coming to you from the Pro Wrestling Report offices. Going to be joined by David Hero in just a minute to talk about WWE's Extreme Rules last night on pay-per-view. And want to welcome all of you joining us wherever you may be all over the world. An exclusive show tonight only on Blog Talk Radio. On Blog Talk Radio, as we will be back on 540 ESPN, our home station, next week. Next week on Wednesday, actually, is when we will be back on 540 ESPN. We're going to be taking your phone calls tonight. The number by which you can call us is 347-996-5278. Again, that's 347-996-5278. If you want to speak, just go ahead and indicate that when you go through the prompts here on Blog Talk Radio. And we'll identify you by the area code from which you're calling from and by your phone number. Again, the area code by which you're calling from and your phone number is how we identify you. We also want to remind you to give us a call, or follow us, rather, on Twitter. Our Twitter username is @PWRShow, @PWRShow on Twitter, and on Facebook, facebook.com/Pro Wrestling Report, facebook.com/Pro Wrestling Report. We appreciate your patience through those few minutes of difficulty. Now we are live, and we are talking about last night's WWE Extreme Rules and tonight's WWE Raw, which was obviously highlighted and headlined by the birthday celebration for The Rock, which was very eventful and had a lot of surprise appearances that I can't say I would have expected on that show tonight. I want to welcome everybody in the chat room on Blog Talk Radio as well. Lots of active discussion going on there. One question there, username Morn Despana, saying, so who will have more wrestling this week, Raw or Impact? And that's the question, because Raw's first hour didn't really feature any wrestling matchups. We had two matchups advertised that were supposed to have happened, and they actually didn't happen due to interference by Karma, who we saw debut last night at WWE's Extreme Rules, and R-Truth. But we'll get to Raw in a minute, because last night at WWE's Extreme Rules, we saw 3 championships change hands, 2 of them significant because the World Heavyweight Champion, which we knew going in would be going around somebody's waist coming out of that pay-per-view, and the WWE Championship, both changing hands. First, let's talk about the WWE Championship. It was John Cena versus The Miz versus John Morrison. John Morrison gets taken out of the matchup by R-Truth, who interfered, which I can't say was a huge surprise, especially if you watched Primetime with Be the Booker this past week and saw that we had talked about that opportunity being there. Well, it did happen. R-Truth actually going after John Cena for a brief moment there, too. But at the end of the day, it was John Cena getting the pin and winning, defeating The Miz, and becoming the new WWE Champion. And a lot of people not ready for that and not happy with that because, and I would be one of those people that would say, aside from for the obvious reasons, that I don't see why they would take the title off The Miz at this point, because John Cena just simply doesn't need it. Just simply does not need it. And, a lot of people saying tonight, as we saw that rematch between The Miz and John Cena, that The Miz looked weird, looked odd, looked like he was missing something, not having that WWE Championship title belt around his waist or on his shoulder or wherever it may have been. And again, we'll talk about Raw as we go on, and we want to hear your thoughts on WWE's Extreme Rules. Give us a call. We're live only on Blog Talk Radio tonight. Very important point. We'll be back on ESPN Radio next week, Wednesday, for an all-new show there. But give us a call. The number is 347-996-5278, 347-996-5278. And let's take our first phone call. Why not? After we talk about the new World Heavyweight Champion. Sorry about that. That was a little bit of a tease there. Brand new World Heavyweight Champion last night at Extreme Rules. His name on Twitter is @Christian4Peeps. Well, over the course of the weekend, he became less of a Twitter username and more of a hashtag because many of you out there in the world changed it to @Christian or #Christian4Champ, and that indeed would be what happened. His destiny fulfilled at Extreme Rules. Christian, the new World Heavyweight Champion. Wow, that actually sounds pretty dang on good. A lot of people wanting that to happen, and WWE gave Christian new WWE World Heavyweight Champion. Other title that changed hands was the United States of America Championship. We'll talk more about that down the road, but let's go to our first caller. He's calling us from the 708 area code. Caller, you are live here on the Pro Wrestling Report, the post show on Blog Talk Radio. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Lorenzo Stampe from Chicago.
Hello, Anthony from Chicago. What did you think of WWE Extreme Rules last night?
I thought it was pretty good, man. I was real happy to see Christian win the world title. I actually wanted to see him win the title back in 2005, but, with him leaving and going to TNA, him coming back and winning it was pretty good to see. That was really the highlight of the night, and I just wanted to get you guys' thoughts on, where he can go from now. Him winning the title was good, but, who can he, rival with on SmackDown, and where can he go, and how do you think he'll fit as a champion?
Thank you for that call, Anthony from Chicago. Interesting question about Christian and where does he go next. Christian, the new World Heavyweight Champion at Extreme Rules last night. Where does he go next? Some are talking about potentially into a program with Mark Henry. Not sure the reasoning by that or for that if that were to happen. But David Hero is joining us on the phone now. David, welcome here to the post show. Sorry for the delay there in getting started, but The Rock went long. And now we're live, which is all that matters. Last night, Christian becomes the new World Heavyweight Champion. It's something that could have gone either way. Either man wanting to fulfill their destiny, him or his opponent, Alberto Del Rio, in that ladder match. The question that's on the table right now is what's next for Christian as the World Heavyweight Champion?
Well, obviously they're going to have to go in the program on Mark Henry, the guy that dumped him on the stairs last week. I mean, why else would they put Mark Henry in such a big spot last week on Raw if they weren't going to have something big planned for him? I just feel terrible for Christian. I mean, his first title run is going to be with Mark Henry. I mean, there's not much he can really do with him.
Yeah. But who else if not Mark Henry?
Well, you would like to believe that with Sheamus now, with the U.S. belt off of him, that opens up a world title feud with him and Christian. And you know what? You can't discount Randy Orton. Randy Orton is eventually going to want a title shot.
Daniel Bryan and Christian can put on some good matches. I doubt we'll see that, though. But
no, if anything, those will be the matches that we'll see on SmackDown. But I don't, that's at least a good, well, that match is at least a good 6 months to a year to wait on pay-per-view.
Yeah. Will Christian be world champion that long, do you think?
I can see Christian. Boy, it's hard to say with SmackDown because there's just so many question marks about that company. But I mean, I think it's safe to say that at least through SummerSlam, Christian should hold on to the title. That's just what I would like to see.
The WWE Championship. I got David Hero. I was over this whole draft thing, especially since I'm winning now, 365 points to your 300. But I got one problem. Those are the facts, Jack. I got one problem. One thing that I've got to challenge you on, and I'm a little upset because you have, with your pick of the Miz in the draft, single-handedly sabotaged the belt right off his waist and sabotaged the rest of his career.
Whoa.
You tainted the Miz.
How did I taint the Miz?
By picking him. You picked him, and then look what happened. A week later, he loses the WWE Championship.
Yeah. Thanks, pal. I mean, the Miz, I tell you.
It's your bad karma.
I think you and the Miz are in cahoots so that the Super Friends don't win. He's sabotaging the Super Friends is what it seems to me.
I'm going to leave it at this.
Really?
You have single-handedly ruined the career of The Miz. Are you proud of yourself?
Let's not forget I also single-handedly made the career of The Miz. If it wasn't for me talking about him being the first guy to cash in the Money in the Bank and lose, he wouldn't have been quite so popular right now, would he? Exactly.
What did you just say? Clearly, I picked up a stream of something else because I don't think that's so not true. Look, all that matters, you ruined the Miz's career. I'm sitting at 365. You're sitting at 300. Points. And remember, I've got the crap.
Amigo, listen, we're going all the way through WrestleMania.
Oh yeah, it'll be fine.
I'm not worried. Believe me, I'll be catching up. Ken Anderson's going to become the new TNA World Champion soon. You know, I'll pick up some points there.
2 matches last night in Extreme Rules. One of them you just talked about, Sheamus losing the United States of America Championship to Kofi Kingston, and a Tag Team Championship matchup, which was Big Show and Kane versus the core, comprised last night of Wade Barrett, the Intercontinental Champion, and Ezekiel Jackson. These 2 matches happened. Title changed hands in the Sheamus matchup, but not in the Tag Team matchup, which was a Lumberjack Tag match. Why add these pay-per-view matchups on the pay-per-view, especially given the fact that in one of them, a new champion was crowned?
Well, it's because, you know what, they want to stack the shows. They want to make them look stronger. They want to have the element of surprise that anything can happen on the pay-per-view. So, you know, so that way people might be more interested in purchasing a pay-per-view. And also, let's face it, they probably re-timed out the whole show, and they realized, hey, we're not going to give Lawler and King, and we're not going to give King and JR and Cole and Swagger 20 minutes. We'll probably give them, 12. So now we have to fill in 8 minutes of match time somewhere. That's why you throw in 2 more matches. I mean, that tag match didn't go much more than 4 or 5 minutes.
That was pretty short. Oh, and to open the show, we saw CM Punk and Randy Orton, a match that Randy Orton won in that last man standing match, go almost, if not 25, then 30 minutes. So a match given some time. And I think the Cody Rhodes Rey Mysterio match actually had some time in it as well.
You know what was wild about the whole CM Punk Randy Orton match is, you remember we heard reports that Randy Orton was upset about his placement on WrestleMania. You know? And now, look, he opens the show at Extreme Rules.
You think opening matchups still are a bad thing?
Well, no. Opening matchup is the match that you use to set the table for the show. I mean, that's the match that gets the crowd involved and invested, the oohs and the ahs, you know. But I'm just saying, why wouldn't they have had Ray? See, I would have flipped the Ray and Cody match with the Punk and Orton match. I would have rather had Ray open the show, because then you had Ray and Cody, Mr. I Can Hear a Pin Drop, followed up by the tag title match, which people really didn't care about that either. So they had 2 kind of dud matches for the crowd. But if they would have put the Randy Orton match in there instead, I think it would have helped the flow of the show a little bit more. Would have kept the crowd a little more alive.
And the crowd overall was pretty dead last night. I was surprised by that because the wrestling action was pretty strong, and I as you said, I think they started with a pretty good matchup between Randy Orton and CM Punk.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? I thought it was a great match. I mean, CM Punk is just that good right now. I mean, sure, he had Randy Orton to work with, but the 2 of them, they told a hell of a story. They really did. They took their time. They got their stuff in when it was needed, not because it was wanted. And I was thoroughly entertained by that match to start the show. It may have been that may have been match of the night. But even that, I will say this: Sheamus and Kofi Kingston was very good also.
There was some good wrestling last night at Extreme Rules. Which I guess was because we weren't going to get much wrestling tonight. However, we got a great matchup tonight between John Cena and The Miz, and we'll talk much more about that later on. Another match, David Hero, that delivered, and some were saying match of the night candidate, was Cody Rhodes versus Rey Mysterio in a Falls Count Anywhere matchup.
Stop. Match of the... Are you kidding me?
It was said on our Twitter account, at PWR Show on Twitter.
You know what
Are you
I
saying
find
it was a
funny?
bad match? It was a crap match? It wasn't a good match? Ray and Cody didn't put on a good show?
No, it was okay. I wouldn't call it match of the night.
Okay.
You know what I find funny is a Falls Count Anywhere match and the pinfall takes place in the middle of the ring. To me, that's funny.
Yeah,
you know?
Absolutely. Then what was the whole point, aside from being able to go out to the concession stand in the bar?
Well, and then the other thing is okay, so Ray Muda's Cody, But Cody has a face mask on, so it didn't get in his eyes. I don't get that either.
The mask doesn't cover his eyes, Dave.
It doesn't?
That does not cover his eyes, no.
Oh, I thought it covered his eyes.
It does not cover his eyes.
Next time they'll get a mask that covers his eyes.
I thought it was a great matchup between the two, and even you've admitted Cody Rhodes has, I think back to a couple of months back, I think Cody was on NXT, and he had cut that promo that a lot of people sort of discovered Cody Rhodes with, and I think we're surprised by his ability to talk, which I don't see how you can be surprised by it, because not only can his father talk, but his brother Dustin can also talk, Gold Dust, as you all know him. And I remember you sitting there, and I forced you to watch it. And there's footage of that on our YouTube page of you watching that promo thing. It was actually good. Cody Rhodes is able to talk and has stepped in the ring. Give the man some credit. Give him a little bit of credit where credit's due.
From the very first time I heard Cody Rhodes talk, which was when he inducted his father in the Hall of Fame, I said, wow, that kid can be a superstar because he can talk.
Mm-hmm.
And then I saw him wrestle.
Really?
He's a talented wrestler. No, hold on.
On the knee pad.
No. I don't even care about knee pads anymore. Listen, he's a talented wrestler. The problem I have with Cody is, and this has always been a thing for me with watching wrestling, when I see him, he's not believable. I don't believe he could really beat somebody up. That's all it is.
He's just another guy, an average Joe, if you will.
He's a frat boy. He's like the Miz. Does Cody Rhodes look like he could ever beat the Great Khali? No, of course not.
Okay. Really? The Great Khali, who was in a dress tonight? He was in a fairy costume tonight? Really? You're sitting there saying, you're going to say that Cody Rhodes, couldn't at the right time, at the right moment, in the right place, in the right city, in the right state, beat Great Khali? He could do it.
No. Could he beat Mark Henry? No. Could
I'm not going to have
to Brodus Clay? No.
Well,
if we saw Cody Rhodes walking down a dark alley, and there's Brodus Clay, or there's Mark Henry, or there's the Great Khali, does he have a legitimate chance of beating him? No, of course not.
I am not going to argue with you that wrestlers of today who are becoming stars don't look like the Triple H's and the Hulk Hogan's and the Undertakers,
the Rocks and
the Austins. But at the same time, your guy Alberto Del Rio looks just as normal as a Cody Rhodes, in my opinion.
No, he's a 6'5" guy.
He
who
was
knows how to fight.
5 months ago.
Well, he had a growing spurt.
We're
you
gonna
know what? Del Rio looks like a man, not a boy. It's a big difference.
A loser leaves WWE match. Michelle McCool versus Layla. The ultimate result of this matchup being Layla winning. Michelle McCool leaves WWE, which was really no surprise, as reports were out there for a while that she wouldn't be staying in WWE much longer. But the big story here was the debut of Karma. Karma, formerly known as Awesome Kong. And David Hero, and you said that last night. I can't wait to hear your explanation. I wouldn't have gotten to the point where saying she's a star until tonight when we saw Karma on Raw, because it sort of sunk in for me at least. So David Hero, last night, Karma walks down that ramp and debuts at Extreme Rules. Your initial thoughts on Karma's first night in WWE?
Well, when I saw her Titantron and the music and the look and just the swagger she had, then she nailed the implant buster on Michelle McCool, I was like, wow. This chick has arrived. I mean, TNA had her for what, 2 or 3 years, and couldn't and never got the steam she got after I saw her on the pay-per-view last night.
But
and
in
fairness, then on Raw.
In fairness, it was Gail Kim and Awesome Kong that really put the Knockouts division in TNA on the map.
Right, but I'm just saying is that they made Awesome Kong bigger than Awesome Kong within one night.
Mm-hmm.
It just shows that that there are some talented people in TNA, and Vince waits until the TNA stench is off of them before he pushes them. Think about it. Christian and Awesome Kong, They both spent their time in TNA, and Vince brought them back after he felt they were no longer TNA talent.
We're going to be taking your phone calls here on this exclusive Monday night edition of the Pro Wrestling Report on Blog Talk Radio only. We're not on ESPN Radio tonight, but we are actually making this commitment to you each and every Monday night, regardless of our ESPN radio schedule, which changes a bit due to NFL football, NBA basketball, and Major League Baseball. We will always, each and every Monday night, be right here on Blog Talk Radio after WWE Raw. Sometimes it'll be our live feed of our ESPN radio show. Sometimes it'll be a special show right here just on Blog Talk Radio. But to make it easier for you to follow the show and keep track of all of our episodes, make sure that you actually follow the show here on Blog Talk Radio. Just click on that button to follow the show. You'll get email reminders and always know when the Pro Wrestling Report is going to be on each and every Monday night right here on Blog Talk Radio, and each and every week. We'll be back next week, Wednesday, on 540 ESPN, our home station in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. We are also going to be taking your calls tonight. We're talking about WWE Extreme Rules. We're going to move on to The Rock's birthday celebration on Raw in just a minute. The number 347-996-5278. 347-996-5278. We've got a lot of comments coming across on Twitter as well. Our Twitter feed, our Twitter username, rather, is at PWR Show. Belfast Broski, username on Twitter, wants to remind you, David Hero, that Cody has a victory over Mark Henry on Raw. It wasn't dashing, but it got the job done. About That Paper, username on Twitter, says, Hero is 100% correct about Cody Rhodes and The Miz. He's speaking the truth. So I didn't realize you had two Twitter accounts.
I got like 5, but that's a different story. Mm-hmm. See, always trying to stir up problems there, Damian Nelson. That's fine. I get it.
So, continue those comments coming on Twitter. Our Twitter name, at PWR Show. We're also each individually on Twitter, at David Hero, and at Damian Nelson is my name on Twitter. We want to thank all of you for your understanding last night, as obviously the big news coming out that Osama bin Laden had been killed, which obviously is a great bit of news to hear. And we decided not to do the post-show so that all of you can get caught up on that breaking news story last night. And now we are here live with you tonight. So, again, we appreciate your patience and apologize for not being on. But, quite frankly, hopefully none of you were thinking about wrestling and you were enjoying that news and that moment that came from our president last night. Christian is the new World Heavyweight Champion, beating Alberto Del Rio, the crowning of an instant classic, if you will. Edge did get involved, David Hero, as you talked about in this past week's Be the Booker on the Pro Wrestling Report Primetime Television. Your thoughts on the Edge's involvement and the happy moment at the end of the matchup, and what is next for Alberto Del Rio? But I ask you that knowing that it might be a little obvious, seeing him and Rey Mysterio mix it up on Raw tonight.
I wish he would get rid of Rey. You know, it's been going on forever. You know, it's like, come on, Del Rio. You've already owned the guy. You've already beaten the guy. It's time to go after John Cena and get what is rightfully yours. That's where
the WWE Championship?
Absolutely.
A lot of speculation tonight. The Miz and John Cena had the rematch on Raw. The Miz defeating John Cena, becoming the WWE Champion again, but only for a few moments until the referee reversed the decision. Mm-hmm. And now people are saying John Cena is going to carry that championship belt all the way back to Miami into WrestleMania 28 against The Rock. Do you see that happening, David Hero?
I hope not, because that match does not need a world title match. It doesn't. It really doesn't.
Not at all.
No, I mean, listen, The Rock and Cena, they don't need any props, okay? It's The Rock and Cena. And, you know, The Rock is by far the superior wrestler, the superior entertainer to John Cena, so all that does by having a title on John Cena just clouds things and confuses things even more. But, God, you know what? I don't know why they took the belt off of Miz so quickly. Even though I'm not one of his biggest supporters, I think by taking the belt off him now just makes him now an average entertainer, and he's a paper champion.
It's the best point, the first part of that, the best point you've made all night long. The Miz or somebody like him needs to be WWE champion. John Cena in no way, shape, or form needs to be WWE champion because it doesn't help him. It helps The Miz. It will help a Del Rio. It could help Jack Swagger. It could help a Drew McIntyre. The Miz without the WWE Championship is not nearly as great as The Miz with the WWE Championship, but I question WWE's move of taking the title from The Miz. On Twitter, again, our Twitter name, @PWR Show, Real Milo is the username, says this, David Hero, listen closely. John Cena, he asked the question, will John Cena keep the WWE title till Mania against The Rock? I think he will and he should, would make the title mean a lot. I don't understand that at all. I completely disagree with that logic, which just doesn't make any sense. But I don't know. Maybe a lot of times it takes a few weeks for these things to take, if you will, and I just don't see any scenario that's good with John Cena being the champion right now.
He doesn't need it, not at all. Put it on someone else where they can be elevated. Put it on John Morrison for all I care right now. He needs it. Put it back on The Miz. As painful as it is for me to say that, it just helps the undercard become bigger stars. John Cena is the biggest star, full-time star on Monday Night Raw. Mm-hmm. He doesn't need it. He already has the fan base. He's already the top merchandise guy. He's the one that people come to see. Build the new stars. That's why you brought over Del Rio and Swagger and McIntyre, and you're pushing John Morrison, and you have The Miz. It's to try to establish new talent that can replace John Cena down the road.
Last night, WWE's Extreme Rules pay-per-view, a new WWE champion in John Cena, a new World Heavyweight champion in Christian, and a brand new United States champion in Kofi Kingston. David Hero, overall, was this pay-per-view worth $55 on pay-per-view?
You know what? I would have to say, yeah. I thought it was one of their better pay-per-views. I thought the cage match with Morrison, Miz, and Cena was very good. I thought that the match between Sheamus and Kofi was very good. I couldn't believe how Sheamus gave up his entire body to Kofi when he put him through that table. I mean, that right there shows that guy is a stud and he has what it takes to take it to the next level.
All right, well, worth the price of admission, you say, reference WWE's Extreme Rules last night, and I would tend to agree with you. It was an entertaining program all the way around. I do still question the logic, though, from a paying viewer, question the logic of announcing two, I guess you call them bonus matches on the show that probably are, well, let's be honest, they wouldn't have gotten anybody else to order, but would have certainly added to the overall presentation of the pay-per-view if they were on the card.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you. I agree.
David Hero, thank you very much for tuning in. We'll see you again or listen to you again or hear you again this Friday on the Pro Wrestling Primetime Television, where you can find a way to better explain your 65-point deficit to me in the PWR Fantasy Draft.
I already have it figured out. I'll explain it on Friday.
Thank you very much, and we're going to take more of your phone calls, ladies and gentlemen. The number 347-996-5278 as we transition into talking about tonight's WWE Raw. Let's go to a caller down in the 405 area code. Caller, your name and where you're calling from. Caller in the 405. All right, let's give a try to a caller in the 832 area code. Caller, what's your name and where are you calling from?
Yo, what up, David? It's Ricardo from Houston.
Ricardo, how are you tonight, sir?
I'm great. I'm always great. How are you?
I'm fantastic. What did you think of Extreme Rules last night?
Well, before I get to that, I just want to point out that I was at the SmackDown on 9/13/01, the one that took place. It was supposed to take place on 9/11.
Right.
And the speech Vince McMahon gave to us when SmackDown first aired, it was one of the greatest things I've ever witnessed. The crowd was. I went to WrestleMania 17 and 25, and I still think that crowd was even bigger than those two. So just yesterday's news was, I guess, a bit of closure and redemption for us. Just to say that.
Absolutely, and I think to that point though, WWE, just to give it some relevance, open up the show tonight with some video of that night. Obviously, some video of September 11th and those tragic attacks as well. And Lillian Garcia returning to sing the national anthem, which, quite frankly, she only had done on broadcast on weekly television on very rare occasions. Granted, she always did it for the live audience, but only on rare occasions. That a special moment tonight, and as you said, that September 13, 2001 edition of WWE SmackDown, very, very special. And a lot of people forget that SmackDown actually broadcasted live from Houston,
it was live.
On that Thursday, one of the very few live in-ring wrestling SmackDowns that we had ever seen. But, Ricardo, thank you very much for bringing that up. Your thoughts, though, on Extreme Rules last night, brand new WWE and World Champions.
You know what? Christian and Del Rio put on a hell of a match. I loved it. So did Cena, Morrison, and Miz. But I'm gonna take your side here a little bit, and I think Ray and Cody Rhodes actually had one of the better matches on the card, if not the best match. I just enjoyed it.
It was a very good match between those two. It was a very good match between those two. Also a very good match. Actually, Christian, there wasn't really a bad match on the card. Every match had purpose, it seemed. I questioned the tag match a little bit because why wouldn't Slater and Gabriel have gotten the chance? But at the end of that matchup, I guess maybe that sort of explained itself. And whether you like the outcome of the matches at all or not, or the lack of build or announcement of some of those matches, I think they all served a purpose at Extreme Rules.
The only thing that confused me was I didn't know who those lumberjacks were. Like, I knew who Santino was, but other than that, I was like, who are the rest of these guys?
A lot of people asking who the guy in the
rest of those lumberjacks were in that tag match.
A lot of people asking who the guy in the white hat was. That was D.H. Smith, and it's actually funny. We spent quite a bit of time with Harry at WrestleMania down in Atlanta, as he's just a great guy and fun to hang out with, and he had that hat on the entire week of WrestleMania, which is the only reason I knew it was him when I saw it on the broadcast of Extreme Rules. But yeah, that's who that was. A lot of people. Some people even said it was JBL. Come on, JBL or Lumberjack. WWE Raw tonight. It was The Rock's birthday celebration. We're going to talk about that. But to close up the discussion on WWE's Extreme Rules, at least with you last night, tonight The Miz gets a rematch for his vacated or his lost WWE Championship, and he briefly wins it back, briefly being for a few seconds. Your thoughts on that matchup and the end, I guess, of The Miz's championship plight?
Well, considering it was the only real match on Raw tonight, it was a pretty solid match. I was disappointed. I thought Miz was going to cheat to win and get the belt back and get more heat on him, but it wasn't meant to be. But I agree with both of you. I don't get why Cena does not need the belt right now. He does not need it at all. He's going to beat John Cena either way, with or without the belt. Put it on, keep it on Miz and build somebody else up. But like I said last week, hey, what do I know? It's a machine. They know what they're doing. So.
Yeah. At times they do, and maybe they did last night. Thank you very much, Ricardo, for that call from down in Houston. Again, we're taking your phone calls talking about WWE Extreme Rules last night and WWE Raw tonight, which featured The Rock. This is the Pro Wrestling Report. We're with a special edition here on Blog Talk Radio on Monday, May 2nd. 2011. We're going to be back on 540 ESPN, our home station where we are on every week. This week, due to some scheduling issues, not able to be on their air. We'll be returning to 540 ESPN next Wednesday. There will be a brand new episode of the Pro Wrestling Report Primetime this Friday, available on demand at pwrshow.com. And I want to remind you that we are making the commitment to you that no matter what our ESPN schedule is, each and every Monday night, we're going to be right here on Blog Talk Radio. So follow the show on Blog Talk Radio. If you're listening to this somewhere else or somewhere other than Blog Talk Radio, visit us at Blog Talk Radio. Our address there is, I'm going to say it one more time, blogtalkradio.com/PWR. Let's go back to the phone lines, and let's go to a caller from the 740 area code. Caller, what's your name and where are you calling from?
Hi, I'm Adam, and I'm from Columbus, Ohio.
Adam from Columbus. What did you think of WWE Raw tonight?
Since there was very little wrestling on the show, it's kind of hard to give it a grade. best match of the night was obviously the Cena Miz match because it was the only match of the night. And
Adam, let me challenge you on that though. So technically, the matches we saw tonight were Miz versus Cena. The Swagger McIntyre and Ray versus Ray and Kofi match, I thought was a good match. It actually went some time. Mason Ryan versus Kane, obviously that fell apart. But yeah, we did get two decent matchups tonight. One great match, one decent matchup. But I think when you go into a show and it's advertised as a birthday party for one man, I'm not sure what expectation levels you should have for much, if any, good wrestling.
Yeah, that's true. And speaking of the birthday, I had celebration tonight. Obviously, happy birthday to The Rock. But I also read online that today was also the late Big Boss Man's birthday. He would have been 49 years old today. Obviously, he died of a heart attack some years back, so I just wanted to put that out there. And
thank you for that. Overall, would you give Raw a passing or failing grade tonight?
Like you said, since it was the birthday celebration for The Rock, I'll give it a passing grade tonight. There was obviously a focal point. The whole Rock Cena for the title thing. Neither guy needs the belt. But wherever that goes, we'll see in the future. But I actually wanted to get one question out.
Okay.
After the Extreme Rules last night, where do you see this Lawler-Cole thing going? Lawler and Swagger and Cole got the win last night, and it's kind of boggling my mind how far they're letting this thing go. Don't you think it's time they kind of just end this?
You know, I got to say, and thank you very much for that call, Adam from out in Columbus. I got to say, there is entertainment value in this whole Michael Cole thing, but at the same time, tonight on Raw, I felt good with Jerry Lawler and Josh Matthews. Josh Matthews, who, by the way, through all this, is being established as the primary voice of WWE in reality, and we're all winners in that case. But the minute I heard Michael Cole's voice, I cringed a little. I'm like, I just didn't feel like it. I didn't feel like listening to Michael Cole. Granted, he was taken out in that first segment with the Rock Bottom and the People's Elbow, and then JR came down, joined the broadcast team. JR sounding better than ever since his return on Raw tonight. You know, I think the reason this whole Michael Cole thing is going is because they need heels. He's playing a great heel, by the way. It got Jerry Lawler's WrestleMania matchup. It got JR back at the broadcast table. It's helping Josh Matthews establish himself as a play-by-play voice of the company. So if you take away the bad thing about it, which really is Michael Cole and the distraction that he becomes at times, and look at the goods that we've gotten out of it, those sort of outweigh the annoyance that is Michael Cole. I don't know how they get out of this. Does Michael Cole become a character? Or does he have a coming to Jesus, if you will, and goes back down to the broadcast table almost like nothing ever happened? We'll see how it plays out. But again, a lot of goods have come of this, and I wouldn't be surprised to see Jim Ross on Raw for the next several weeks, months, if not all the way through next year's WrestleMania, to continue to put the polish on Josh Matthews. This is the Pro Wrestling Report. We're on Blog Talk Radio, special show tonight. Thank you very much, Adam from Columbus, that call. Also, Ricardo from Houston, and I believe it was Lorenzo from Chicago, or Anthony from Chicago. I'm not sure. Sorry if I'm getting your name wrong there. But we're taking your comments on Twitter as well. Our Twitter username, @PWR Show on Twitter, @PWR Show on Twitter. We've got a couple of comments to read there. The Gene 2I is the username, saying, The Rock deserved that birthday celebration. Vince McMahon was the icing on the cake, as Vince isn't exactly known for his sweet side. The comment of the night, Vince McMahon coming out to introduce a video package about The Rock, which was as excellently produced as anything WWE does, said, thank you for coming home to The Rock. And Vince McMahon meant it. Vince McMahon meant those words and said those words to The Rock, who I had to be touched. Maya coming out, singing happy birthday to him, did so very well. The audience being given birthday caps. Several stars appearing to be part of this celebration tonight, non-wrestling stars, including Pitbull, who sang with some of the Miami Heat dancers, Jimmy Kimmel, Paul Walker, Samuel L. Jackson, Steve Carell, Ellen DeGeneres, Tyler Perry, Luda, Dan Marino, George Lopez, Regis Philbin, king of, he's the prince of all media. Howard Stern is the king of all media. Craig Ferguson as well. Several people giving tribute to The Rock. It was a bit, yes, The Rock deserved it. Yes, The Rock deserved it, but how do I say this? It was a little self-serving. The Rock didn't throw the party for himself. WWE did it. We'll see when the numbers come out tomorrow. People tuned in for this. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if there was enough wrestling, if there wasn't enough wrestling, people tuned in for this. And we'll see what the numbers deliver tomorrow, which will tell the story. Remember, The Rock, This Is Your Life with Mick Foley from several years ago on WWE Raw scored an 8.4 rating, I believe, which is the highest rating, and I could be wrong, but I don't think I am, the highest rating during the Monday Night Wars or on Monday Night Wrestling in the history of Monday Night Wrestling. So, and that was about a 20-25-minute segment. So the precedent is there, it is set, and I think this will have delivered tonight at the end of the night. We're going to continue taking your phone calls. Got about 15 minutes of showtime remaining, and we're going to go to a caller in the 620 area code. Caller in the 620 area code. What's your name and where you're calling from?
Yeah, this is Derek Ellis from Thayer, Kansas.
Derek from where?
From Thayer, Kansas, a small town. No one knows about it.
Tremendous. Thanks for calling in. What did you think of WWE Raw tonight?
And I did accept it for that it was a birthday celebration for The Rock, but I just don't feel that they did enough, that they could have done, as far as, celebrating the birthday of The Rock. When they did the This Is Your Life segment, it was amazing. And they didn't even remotely try to compete with that segment at all.
Right.
I felt that they could have done a lot more, and they just didn't do it. The video package that they did for The Rock at the end was great, but I felt they just didn't do enough. So I think that Raw failed tonight, in my opinion.
All right. Well, thank you very much for that call, Derek from out in Kansas. And continuing talking about WWE Raw, we were talking a moment ago about Cole. A couple of you in the chat room here on Blog Talk Radio saying that Cole can be Raw GM. That comment coming from Don from the NYC. That's actually probably the smartest thing to do. He's got a great antagonistic role. Why couldn't he be the anonymous Raw general manager? And let's not forget, he had a great memory from getting that email on his iPad to getting in the ring and reciting what the GM had said to Raw. I don't know if would anybody be surprised, though, if Michael Cole did get announced as the Raw general manager? Send us your answers to that. We'll get to them at the end of the show via Twitter, on Facebook, facebook.com/Pro Wrestling Report. Would you be surprised if Michael Cole was the Raw general manager? We're going to continue taking your phone calls. Again, the number, 347-996-5278. Let's go to a caller in the 786 area code. Caller, what's your name and where are you calling from?
Yo, what's up, Damien? This is Gary calling all the way from the Bahamas.
Hey, Gary from the Bahamas. Tremendous.
Yep, that's right.
What were your thoughts on WWE Raw tonight?
Tonight, I think Raw was like a little bit of TNA, but just with a bigger star. You know what I mean?
Okay. How so?
Well, it started off with, I think, it went about 30 minutes of The Rock.
Yeah, 33 or 4 minutes, yeah.
Then we had another 30 minutes of just backstage segments, and then we got a couple minutes of wrestling. To me, it's just an ordinary show.
Should they have done the Rock's birthday party, if you will, tonight on Raw?
I think what they should have done was probably at the beginning, like a Rock, This Is Your Life, like they did a few years ago, and then like smooth it into like some wrestling, and then probably ended with The Rock. But I think The Rock was way overused tonight.
Okay.
I mean, it was a good Raw, but I think he was a little bit overused tonight.
All right. Well, Gary, calling us all the way from the Bahamas, thank you very much for calling in and being a part of the program. Let's go to another caller calling us from the 318 area code. Caller, what's your name and where are you calling from?
Hey, Damien, it's Will from Louisiana. How you doing?
I'm tremendous, Will from Louisiana. What did you think of WWE Raw tonight?
I enjoyed Monday Night Raw, but the thing that I enjoyed the most was at the very beginning, seeing Lillian Garcia back singing the national anthem. I have my best friend, my brother, over there fighting his ass off, and he's proud of it. I'm sorry if I cussed on the show, but he's fighting his butt off over there in Afghanistan and Pakistan right now, and I'm proud of him. And I was almost brought to tears by Lillian's beautiful rendition of the national anthem. But overall, I thought it was a great night. Good match from Cena and Miz, the best match those two have had against each other. And it was good to see The Rock again. It was good to see Vince McMahon. Come on.
You know, it's never, and some say Vince should be on more or miss Vince, whatever, but it's almost better when occasionally you get to see the chairman come out and just own whatever he's doing, as he owns the company, by the way. And we had the privilege, last time Vince McMahon was on TV, it happened here in Milwaukee when he actually announced that the following week he would be announcing the guest host of WrestleMania. Vince came out, and you know, very special, because Vince was sincere, and was Vince McMahon the CEO of WWE tonight, not Mr. McMahon.
I think that was something special about the show, definitely, was we saw kind of like the real Vince McMahon tonight, giving a real appreciation to The Rock. But, man, just for one night, I would like to see Mr. McMahon back just doing his thing, just pandering to the crowd every time he speaks and making fun of the crowd, talking about, you want to say what again? What? I mean, that's just great.
Yeah, I get the impression that what chant does genuinely annoy him, because he almost makes a point of it every time it starts being said on his programming.
But do you think that's working the crowd as well, not necessarily being annoyed by it, but getting the fans their money's worth too?
It could be. It could be. I doubt it, but it could be. Whoa, from Louisiana. Thank you very much for calling in and being a part of the program tonight. Next, go to our next caller. And again, if we can't get to your call tonight, we've got about 12 of you waiting in the queue here right now. If we can't get to your call tonight, we will be live again next Monday night. Again, we've made the commitment to you tonight that regardless of our ESPN schedule, we're going to do a post show of WWE Raw on the Mondays where we're not on 540 ESPN. I know that might be a little confusing, but we've added a calendar, a broadcast calendar, to our website, pwrshow.com, our website, pwrshow.com, where you can also watch that full video of John Cena's address to the crowd in Tampa last night announcing the capture and the killing of Osama bin Laden. You know, I got to say, WWE did a great video package early on into Raw, actually to open Raw, with former President Bush, who obviously played a role in this, speaking about 9/11 and speaking about the capture of Osama bin Laden, the pending capture of Osama bin Laden when he was president. I was a little surprised that they excluded the current president, President Obama, who, you know, is obviously the person who gave the order to capture Osama bin Laden and make that a top priority, as he said, without politicizing it, which I'm definitely not trying to do now. I was just a little surprised that they didn't even mention or use any of the footage or video or audio of the president's announcement from just last night. But be that as it may, still a great move by WWE to make this, and they did it midday today, switch it from The Rock's birthday celebration in their advertising efforts to a patriotic celebration. And again, WWE has a unique connection with its fans, and they can really, really play to, and I mean that in a bad way, really play to the emotions of their audience. Let's go to our next caller, calling from the, let's try the 612 area code. Caller from the 612, what's your name and where are you calling from?
This is Nathan from Minneapolis.
Nathan, what did you think of WWE Raw tonight?
You know, it would have been awesome if The Miz would have made John Cena a 24-hour champion.
How great would that have made The Miz at the end of the day?
It would have been perfect, but I think I know I can see a good thing in Cena being champion. I can see something good coming out of that.
Please share it with the world. You could be the man with the to cause us all have an epiphany here. What is the good thing about John Cena being WWE champion, except for selling more of those ugly red shirts?
Because whether or not he has the belt, he is the champ, right? I mean, that's the problem with him. The media problem is,
in his mind, yeah.
Champ. Okay, if you want to make, if you want to make another star, if you want to put the belt on John Morrison or put the belt on Alberto Del Rio, as cool as it would be if you want it from The Miz, isn't it that much more if you want it from somebody like John Cena? I mean, doesn't winning the belt from John Cena make it bigger than winning it from anybody else?
No.
No?
No. I think, what is he, 10-time champion now? If he's a 10-time champion, he's a 10-time loser. You know what I mean? I see your point, and maybe in the earlier reigns it made more of an impact, but you look at Sheamus, you look at Jack Swagger, you look at CM Punk, you now look at Christian, you look at The Miz. All of those people were helped by their World or WWE Championship wins and reigns. John Cena, Triple H, The Undertaker, Kane, Big Show, those names don't get anything from being the WWE or World Champion right now in the current landscape of WWE. The Miz was put in front of any camera and any media outlet WWE could get his hands on to show the new face of WWE. People seen Cena. People have seen Cena for years. They know Cena is around. Cena, again, is one of the hardest working men in professional wrestling and deserves a ton of respect. I want to make that point clear. But at the same time, John Cena is WWE champion unless there's something we don't know about media-wise coming up where he needs to be on TV with that belt. Doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
Okay.
Nathan, I'm not saying you're wrong, by the way. I see your point, but I counterpoint with what I just said there. But thank you very much for calling, Nathan, up in Minneapolis. I got to get back up there. I haven't a little bit of trivia. Every year I used to go, not every year, but every year or two I used to go up to the Mall of America in Minneapolis, and I would buy a wallet at the Mall of America, and that would be my wallet for that time period. And then once it got worn out, I would have to go and take another trip up to Minneapolis to the Mall of America to get a new wallet. That is tonight's useless information, at least from me, by the way. But, WWE Raw, a strong show tonight. We asked a lot of you if it mattered that there was no wrestling in the first hour on Raw. And we had a lot of comments on our Facebook page about that. Again, our Facebook page is facebook.com/Pro Wrestling Report. Be sure to like us on Facebook. Conversation always going there with all of the great fans of the Pro Wrestling Report. Day Lazoo saying, no surprise, but it's been entertaining. Cero Battle saying, I stopped watching. James Taylor saying, this means Cena-Miz match is going to be long, which it actually ended up being pretty long. John William Harris saying, as long as it's entertaining, I'm fine with it. SmackDown and Superstars have the wrestling on it. Excellent point there. Marcus Duchow says, what is this quote-unquote wrestling of which you speak? Very, very nice. Well done. Corey Wagner saying, I'm enjoying this Raw a lot. And Christopher Reiner saying they're just making it easier for a wrestling company to step up and compete. Too bad TNA is trying to mimic instead of standing out. And comments about tonight's Raw, no real wrestling match in the first hour tonight on that broadcast. Again, overall, I thought it was a show that did what it needed to do, did what they said they were going to do, delivered what they were going to do. And we asked a question tonight about Michael Cole is, would you be surprised if Michael Cole was announced as the Raw general manager? Find out what the dozens of you have had to say about that on our Facebook page, facebook.com/Pro Wrestling Report. Lots of answers to that question. Some of them may surprise you. You can check that out right after we go off the air. Gentlemen, ladies, we're going to be live again right here on Blog Talk Radio next Monday night, and then this Friday, a brand new episode of the Pro Wrestling Report primetime television. For those of you who may be new listening, we also do a weekly television show that you can tune into that airs on Time Warner Cable in southeastern Wisconsin and all over the world on demand at pwrshow.com and on YouTube. I want to thank all of you for interacting with us in the chat room at Blog Talk Radio here, and to remind you to follow us on Twitter. At PWR Show is our Twitter name. And for all the updates on the Pro Wrestling Report Fantasy Draft, at PWR Draft. Final score after Extreme Rules going into Sacrifice, Nelson family, mine, 365 points to David Hero's 300 points. Follow the show here on Blog Talk Radio so you never miss an episode, and thank you so much for tuning in here to the Pro Wrestling Report, the post-show of WWE's Extreme Rules last night and WWE Rock birthday celebration live on the USA Network tonight. This is Damian Nelson saying thanks for tuning in. We'll see you Monday night.